Hello everyone and welcome back to another great super cool radio interview. I'm your host always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. And just a quick reminder to thumbs up this video if you enjoy it. And make sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you don't miss any super cool radio interviews or episodes. I got a great guest joining me momentarily. She's an incredible guitarist and songwriter from Cincinnati, Ohio, Erin Coburn. In January, I had the opportunity to see her perform live at the Hard Rock Casino in Gary, Indiana. It was an incredible time. She delivers a really great show, and I had so much fun rocking out with her. She's an incredible person, and I highly recommend you see her live when you get the chance. In this interview, we discuss the new single Blossoms, her unique guitar and instrument collection, producing music, and so much more. So let's dive into this interview. Let's go. Before we jump into the show, I want to tell you about our merch store on Threadless. Shop a wide variety of logos with multiple colors and sizes available for each design. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps us continue to make killer content like this episode. Please visit supercoolradio.threadless.com or the link in the description to shop now. I got an awesome guest with me at this time. She's a phenomenal guitarist and songwriter from Cincinnati, Ohio. Please welcome Erin Coburn.
Hey, everybody.
It's nice to see you again. I know we met back at the Hard Rock Casino at the end of January. It's so awesome to have you on the podcast.
I'm super excited to be here. I still have the little like the sweat rag that has super cool radio on it. I use that everywhere I go on tour now. Very helpful.
And they come in super handy. I try, everyone I meet, it doesn't cost me too much. That's why I always try to give it, because they come in so handy for gear, your face, hands, whatever.
Exactly. That's a good merch idea.
See? Always thinking. And I definitely didn't steal that idea from somebody else.
That's every industry.
That is very true.
Yes.
So I know we got a lot to discuss. You obviously had the tour in February. You recently released Blossoms at the end of January. But before we get into all of that, I know obviously when I saw you last in the Hard Rock, I know you use a fretless guitar. Was this like something that you started with, or is this something that you like just really like the style of?
Yeah, it's a headless guitar, not fretless.
Sorry.
I've dove into the world of fretless before, and that is terrifying. But yeah, the headless guitars, I've been playing them for a while. I actually had never played a headless guitar until I think it was 2019 NAMM. It was like the NAMM right before everything shut down in Anaheim, and I saw Strandberg, the Strandberg booth, and I'm like, whoa, that is so cool. I've seen them in videos, but I want to play one. And so I floated over to the booth and picked it up. I'm like, wow, this is just it feels right, because they have their neck is not normally it's not like a C-shape or D-shaped neck like most guitars are. It's like this trapezoid, and it felt so comfortable. My hands are smaller, so I mean it felt right. And I honestly it's just a lot lighter. I think the headstock, I think someone said the headstock is what makes it so much heavier, typically. So, it's easy to move around stage, and I'm a super clumsy person. So it's nice that I don't have to worry about banging my headstock on stuff, because, yeah. So, yeah, that's how it started.
No, that's really, I don't see a lot of people using a headless guitar, not fretless, headless, as I get that right. But it was just very cool to see. I know you made a comment during the show, because I feel like at least there's a couple people that tell you probably each show about your guitar and how different it looks.
I have so many people come up to me and they're telling me about my guitar, and they're like, it's headless. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know that. I get the joke. I get jokes all the time, especially on TikTok. They're like, so no head. I get that joke all the time. And there's a lot of headless guitar jokes that can be said, but yes, lots of people talk about headless guitars, and some of it's not always the best. but they're here and they're here to stay.
Exactly. No, it sounded really awesome when I got to see you. And again, as I said, I don't see a whole lot of guitarists using that style of guitar, but it sounded really awesome. I know you have a very unique collection of guitars. That I at least saw one very unique one, the Spider-Man lunchbox at the Hard Rock. So how did that? Like, was this something like you had in your head, or is this someone that someone suggested? How did that come to be?
Yeah, so my dad actually had the idea one day to make a guitar out of a lunchbox, and he had never built a guitar before, so it didn't go very well, and it was not playable, and all the frets were wrong, because it's extremely mathematical. It's insane how much math and in science goes into building a guitar. It's very well thought out, and his was not, but the idea was there, the soul was put into it. So he decided to get someone else to build it, and he found this guy named Jim Milligan, and he runs New Egypt Folk String Company, or Folk String Instrument Company. And so he did it. He built me the lunchbox guitar, and it was like, Dad did it as a surprise, so it came to my house, and I was like, whoa, this is pretty wild. And this thing has some attitude, I have the first one that was built for me was a Spider-Man lunchbox guitar, and my dad picked out the lunchbox and everything. The second one that was built was a Star Wars lunchbox guitar, and my dad picked out that lunchbox too. And the Star Wars one is even louder, but Jim made a bunch of he made a bunch of changes and things that can make it even better, because lunchboxes aren't typically made into guitars. It's normally cigar box guitars, or maybe oil cans. People make oil can guitars, or dresser drawer upright basses. You can make guitars out of anything, but lunchboxes I haven't seen too much. So I guess it was a bit of a challenge, but I love that guitar. It is so great. We wrote a bunch of new songs on it for the New Orleans Cigar Box Festival, so it's so much fun.
Oh, it definitely looked like it was so unique. I know you had it hidden away during the set, and then when you brought it out, I was like, that looks so awesome. It's actually to see in person you play it sounded phenomenal.
Thank you. I think everyone should have a lunchbox.
For sure. Plus, I know you do use it for storage. I believe you had extra strings in there, for things like that. So it is functional and is stylish at the same time.
Exactly. Well, I had someone play a prank on me. They put a bunch of things from Spencer's into the lunchbox, and when I went to show the audience, it opens, and then I open it up and just dicks all over the stage. So I'm like, well, shit, I didn't know that was gonna happen. So yes, but you can totally store things in them. The Spider-Man lunchbox, I can store things in. The Star Wars lunchbox, unfortunately, does not open. So just the Spider-Man, but it's super cool.
Oh, it definitely is. I know you told that story on stage at the Hard Rock, but
Yep.
But it does come in handy for that as well.
Yes, indeed.
So I do have one more guitar question before we get to that. So obviously you have a Spider-Man lunchbox. I've seen you have a Spider-Man cutout in one of your videos I've seen as well. So for you, who are your two favorite superheroes and supervillains?
Oh, I love this question. This reminds me of the one podcast, Guitar Villains, that it's on. Oh, I love that. Okay, but anyway, two favorite superheroes: Spider-Man and probably Wonder Woman. And then favorite supervillains, Joker for sure. And I guess, I don't know, one of my favorite characters of all the whole universes is Venom. But I don't know, he's an anti-hero, but I'm gonna count him as a villain, so Venom. Yes.
Very nice. Very, very good picks for superheroes and supervillains. Actually, one of my original concert shirts that I always wore at concerts was a Punisher shirt.
Oh, nice.
And but then I went to a Rob Zombie and Korn show, and everybody had it was I ran into 5 people with the same Punisher shirt I was wearing.
Whoa.
So I had to switch. So now I have a Venom shirt.
There you go.
For concerts, and it's a very unique one. I haven't seen anyone else that wear it, so I'm like,
nice.
This is the shirt I'm going with now.
That's the badass one, yes. Oh my gosh, I'm jealous that you saw Korn live. That's so cool.
And I can't believe that was 8 years ago too. I mean, that was Yeah, so I haven't seen them since, but that was I was kind of wary at that point because I was like just after their dubstep album, like a few years after that. I was like,
Yes.
oh, I was like, I don't know how good this is gonna sound. Then they like did all their classic stuff, and I lost my mind. It was a fantastic time.
That is incredible. My favorite video on like literally the internet is when Korn's playing Woodstock, and I think Woodstock like '99 or something, and they do Twist in it. But like it's so cool, and like the whole crowd, it's like I've never seen that many people in one place, but they were all jumping, and oh, it's so great. I watch that video all the time. It's like a 9-minute video, like clip from it, but oh my gosh, it's just binge worthy.
Oh yeah, that crowd participation for just having that whole crowd get into it, like just that massive crowd get into it. It's gotta be like just mind blowing to be on stage with like just like that whole just that sea of people. I can't fathom it without experiencing it.
Yeah, same. It's insane.
For sure. But back to my last guitar question. Then I know we're gonna move on to the new single Blossoms.
Yeah.
So obviously you have a Star Wars lunchbox, you have a Spider-Man lunchbox. Is there any like guitar ideas that you have that you want to implement, that you want to create, that you're still in the process of, or just thinking about?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, besides hopefully someday doing a signature model with Strandberg, I definitely want a headless ukulele. So Strandberg actually made an April Fool's joke. Every year they do an April Fool's joke on their social media pages, and I fall for them pretty much every single time. And so they actually had a headless like ukulele Strandberg, and I was like, I didn't know it was April Fool's Day, and I'm like, finally, yes! Like I am so ready. Let's do it. And then they were like April Fools, and I was like, what? So I think I'm gonna maybe someday bring that up with them and say, hey, like, I think it'd be cool if you actually did that. Other than that, I haven't put too much thought into other guitars, like different. Oh, actually, wait, I changed my mind. Recently, I played a place in Evansville, Indiana called Mojo's Boneyard, and one of my fans brought like a little miniature Spider-Man lunchbox. Like it's like the size of my hand, maybe a little bit smaller. And so I want to try to make a guitar out of that and play it for like one solo during a show. Like just try, but I don't. It's not even big enough to put a 1/4-inch jack on it. So I don't know how that's gonna happen. But there's ways. But so other than that, that's all I got.
Well, I do hope both those happen at some point. A headless ukulele sounds. They've already made a joke about it, so someone has at least thought about it.
Exactly.
To make the joke.
Half of the work is done. The idea is there.
But yes. I do hope that happens. Plus, like I've seen like obviously they're just like replica tiny guitars, but a functional one. I don't know how many strings you can get on it, but
I know it's probably gonna be like a 1-stringer.
maybe try to just make maybe 2. Have at least 2 on there.
Yep. When I was young, I was so fascinated with like the guitars that people made out of like rubber bands and pencils, and I'm like I would try to make those, and it never was successful, but I feel like it would have that vibe, like maybe even like some rubber band strings on it. That would be interesting.
Well, I hope that comes to fruition, because I would love to see that. Just the reaction on people's faces would be priceless. It's
pure entertainment, whether or not it'll sound good, but it'll look cool.
That's it. I mean, as long as it looks cool. I mean, sound. The sound of music. I mean, it's always the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll see. Maybe you could dial that in. I know you obviously you do use a ukulele on a regular ukulele on stage.
Yeah.
You go from a guitar to a lunchbox guitar to a ukulele. Throughout the set, which was fun. To see all the different instruments that you have and you can play.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Of course. Now, actually, last question, then I'm going to move on to Blossoms. So I did hear at the end of last year that you were working on a new studio. How's the progress for that?
Progress is going well. My dad is actually building it. So we had plans for like a separate building, but the city that I live in was like, no. So we're building it in the garage, which the garage was already turned into like a room versus an actual garage. So we're using the garage. We split it up into 2 rooms, the control room and then the recording room, the live room. And it's going well. We have the control room about 89% done, so I should be in by like next weekend, hopefully. I'm super excited, but then it's like it's kind of figuring out where all like the weak spots in the room are, so you know, like all where the sound is bouncing from, and I gotta figure that out. But it's coming along. So right now I'm just in my bedroom and then like the corner, and I like set up all of my gear, so there's just gear all along the walls. And like we rehearse in the living room now. My parents are like, just like, we gotta get this studio going along. So, but it's exciting. I'm super excited for it because, you know, I can't really record any vocals in this room without it sounding like trash. So I'm super stoked to have a vocal booth that I can knock the album vocals out with.
Oh, for sure. I do hope rehearsing in the living room does probably expedite things. Hopefully.
Yes. Yeah. And I think one of the walls doesn't have a ground, so when I plug my amp in for the whole rehearsal, all you hear is brrr, like it's a really loud buzz. So yeah, but we're working on it.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're making a lot of great progress with that, and I think it's gonna be really awesome for you to be able to have a really great studio you can use that, like it's literally in your house. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. It's literally there for you.
Yes, it's so exciting. The best thing I ever did was go and get like my certification in Pro Tools and like, learn how to mix and learn how to mix because it's always changing. So I'm so thankful for that because it's awesome.
Oh, definitely, for sure. And I will be talking about your engineering and production when I talk about the new single Blossoms, which I'm going to do right now because I'm great at segues like that. So you released Blossoms end of January. It was like right after I saw you. Did you perform it live? I think
I don't think we did because I haven't run through it with my band yet.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure, but I was like, all right. So for you, how was it writing and recording Blossoms?
It was a blast. So I actually wrote that song like, oh my God, like 2020, I think. I wrote it 2020. And I did not want to release it. I was honestly terrified to release it. It talks about a lot of different stuff that I feel like people would judge me for. And which is like what artists do and like what songs are. But we get in our own heads and that's just a people thing. But it took me a while, and it was like more electronic and like not rock at all. Like the original song was very synthy, much less guitar. So it's super different. But I was like, I want to do something with the song. Fuck it, I'm just gonna like make a rock version of it because I'm focusing on rock. I want guitar in every song, and I want it to be big and loud and memorable. And that's where that came about. So I recorded it and I went back and forth on it for like forever. It seemed like this is the longest I'd ever sat on a song. Normally it's like, okay, I'm gonna record the song and then boom, it's out. Like not that much longer or it's done. So sorry, we have dogs.
No
but Blossoms took forever. So it was kind of a relief and also stressful when I was releasing it. But it was a cool process. I programmed all the drums, I recorded all the bass, the guitar parts, mixed and mastered it. So it's all 100% in-house. And I look back and there's things I'm like, damn, I should have done this or I should have done this, but it's just exciting because I can use it for the next releases. But Blossoms was so much fun writing.
Oh, I bet it. It's a really great song. I really like that. It has the guitar in it. It really rocks. It does have that kind of the blend of like the rock music, but also the electronic music in there. I do like the balance of having both those styles of music in Blossoms.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. So you said obviously, so you started on in 2020. It's now been released in 2023. So obviously you're writing and recording it. Did you ever hit like a point where it's like, I just want to put this out yet? That you want to release this?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was recently. Like there were some points where I'm like, I just want to release this, but I'm like, I don't think it's ready because a lot of people were telling me you have to go in one direction. You have to have one sound. And I was still trying to like make my sound. Like if you listen to like the first album versus the second album versus the third album, like they're all so different from each other because I was growing up between them. And, I always forget, I'm so embarrassed by the first and the second album, like, especially the first album. I'm embarrassed to listen to it, but people are like, oh, it's so cool seeing that, like, natural progression, but I just want to, like, rip it all down and put new stuff out there, because I'm like, I found my sound, this is who I am, this is what I sound like, and I know how to express that a lot better than I did when I was, like, 12. But yeah, I forget about that, but I don't know where I was going with this. But yeah, I mean, when I wrote Blossoms, I was super excited about it, but I realized that I wanted to make it more the sound that I know and love now versus back in the day. So I felt ready when I kind of crafted that sound a little bit more, if that makes sense.
It does. And I honestly, I totally feel you about looking at stuff you did like years ago compared to like the stuff you do. Like I know people still talk about like my first season interviews was back in like 2019, 2020,
nice.
something like that. So like I mean, I know where I've, how far I've come, but I still, sometimes I look back and I cringe myself just because like I see like how much, I see the better, that I'm better at, I have all my skills, I've improved for it. And now I look back and it's like, oh, I look so, inexperienced and I didn't know what I was doing. So now I feel like, when you finally hit your groove, it's like, oh, this is how I want people to see me now.
Yes, and it's kind of like a template too. Like you're like, I like this, I want to sprinkle in a little bit of this because that's what I normally do. And then you just add whatever you're feeling on top of that, and it's like, this is me. It's a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did want to talk about so obviously you said you got certified for Pro Tools. There we go. Yeah. And so when did you like start learning about like engineering and producing and recording music? Like how old were you when you started that?
I had Logic when I was 16 or 17. Like I was young. I was like 16 or 17 when I started like just fucking around with Logic, and I'm like, this is really cool, but I have no idea what I was doing at all. There's like early recordings that just are just a bunch of harmonies, and I just loved vocal harmonies. I loved layering as many as possible, and that was where I was comfortable. But it wasn't until like the pandemic, like that everything, like when everything shut down, when I was like, I can't do shows, but I want to do something that I can, learn and that'll benefit for the future. So I will go learn how to record and mix and master. And I had a pretty good like basic understanding of recording, so I had like binge watched like YouTube videos on how to record and how to use Pro Tools and all that stuff. But it wasn't until I went to Cleveland School of Audio Recording that I just like, it blew my mind. I'm like, okay, cool. So this is what it is, and this and that. And it was, I think, 4 months, but it was just super intense, like every day. And we were sitting in on sessions, and it was awesome. I did it with my drummer, my best friend, Brandon, and it was the best thing ever. But yeah, that's how it started out, was the pandemic, which I think a lot of people had that kind of kick in the ass where it was like, damn, I should probably learn something new. I have time.
Exactly. It was a lot, during that time, since there's a lot of weirdness going on, as everyone knows. But yeah, a lot of people they want to try something new, or they want to change up their, their lifestyle and their habits and stuff. But exactly. I'm glad you definitely use that downtime very productively to learn about, engineering and producing.
Yeah, and I love it. I binge watch videos all the time now. Like I have favorite producers and engineers. I'm just like, I will listen to podcasts with them, and there's always something to learn in the industry, and that's the most beautiful thing about it, is it's always changing.
Oh, definitely. There's always, new things to learn and to discover. Like me personally, I always try to learn something new, not even just music or podcasting, just something in life that's new or interesting. I always just try to learn something new every day.
That's the outlook of a genius.
Well, I don't know if I'll go that far for myself, but
it is. I mean, how do people become geniuses? They have that perspective on life because they're soaking in as much knowledge as possible. I think that's great.
Oh, for sure. I know you're similar way with obviously with the music and producing, as you said you produced and recorded Blossoms. Was that did anyone help you throughout that whole process, or was that just all minus the recording part with the other musicians, but for the whole engineering part, was that all you?
Most of the engineering was me. I went back up to Cleveland to learn a couple things with drums, because my drums before I released Blossoms were lacking. Not like the actual performance, but the mix, it wasn't bad at all. It just wasn't like the drums that hit you in the face on the way out, that's what I was aiming for. So I went back up and I learned how to make the drums bigger. So but other than that, it was all me that mixed it. So
oh, right on. Yeah, no, I've heard from other people I've interviewed that drums is the hardest part to record and to make it actually sound good. It's the hardest, most difficult part of a song.
It's super difficult. I just got I bought this plugin called Superior Drummer, and it was like $600. So it was definitely a kick in the wallet, but it was worth it because I won't get too nerdy here, but I love anyone that's listening that needs good drums. This is the key right here, or one of the keys. But if you record drums and they're like, you go back and you listen to it and you're like, man, that was really shitty. I should have done this and that. You can get away with it if the waveforms are clean. You can get away with like triggering the drums. So using Superior Drummer, like triggering cymbals. You can actually trigger cymbals and redo your cymbals. I didn't know that. Like I was using slate drums, and like you can't trigger cymbals on there, so I just thought it wasn't possible. But yeah, no, it blew my mind that I can do that, and now it's like, oh, it's okay if that piece of the drum set but everything else sounded good, I'll just swap that out and trigger it, and boom, we're good to go. So I did that with one of the things on Blossoms too. I had to retrigger like a hi-hat, a hi-hat, and it was just life-changing. So yes, I'm a plugin nerd.
But I'm glad you found a solution for that. Obviously you used one style, but that wasn't working, so you had to find something else that would work, and you were able to trigger the drums and the cymbals and all of that. So I'm glad that you found a solution for the song. Yeah. But and I do got one more thing about Blossoms, and I got a few more questions that we're going to wrap up. But for anyone who hasn't listened to Blossoms yet, what can they expect, like musically and lyrically?
So musically, I call it rock because it's such a broad like genre, but it's like high energy rock that you could probably like jump around to at shows, and it's catchy. It's not like dad rock, which there's nothing wrong with dad rock, but it's more like modern rock, like maybe Cage the Elephant vibes. Yeah, Cage the Elephant vibes. Sorry, I'm very chaotic, but I guess that's the music, is chaotic. So yeah, they can expect that. Yeah.
Right on. Well, I definitely highly recommend everyone check out Blossoms. I'm a very, very big fan of it. I'll leave some links for Blossoms and Erin Coburn in the description of this podcast as well. So I did want to talk about, you went on tour for about the first half of February. Yeah. How was the tour?
It was awesome. We were gone for like 3 weeks, and like it was a southern tour, so we did like Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee and where was that? Louisiana. So there were some places I'd never been before, and it was so much fun. I think that was just epic. When we're gone, we're usually gone like every weekend, but that was the first time I think I've been gone for like 3 straight weeks with shows almost every night. And I loved it. That's been my dream, is to do tours like that, where it's like no break. You're playing every single night, and you've got things like booked to the max. So it was a dream come true. Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. I know you did more of the southeastern U.S. How was the weather? Was it a little bit warmer?
It was much better. We actually we had an Airbnb on the beach for one of the things. I think in Alabama. And oh my gosh, it was so great. It was a little cold on the beach, but you don't get that in Ohio.
No, you definitely don't get a beach in Ohio. I'm very glad you got to experience some nicer weather outside of Ohio, and it sounds like you had a really great time. I was watching some of your videos and photos from tour. It looked like you were having such a fun time. It
was awesome. It really was, and we met a lot of new friends too. So yeah.
Very, very good bonus along the way of the tour as well. So for you, like obviously you said you toured those states, and you're from Ohio. Is there like any states in the U.S. that you want to visit, that you want to perform at, that you haven't yet?
Seattle. I really want to go to Seattle. I've heard so many cool things about like the music scene there, and there's a studio. I was watching the Foo Fighters show, Sonic Highways. And they would tour studios and things like that. And one of the studios they toured, I think it was in Seattle, was like underground. And this guy just kept digging more and more rooms, and building more rooms in the studio. And it was the coolest thing ever. So I want to play a show in Seattle, so I can go try to find that studio and check it out.
I do hope you get that opportunity. Yeah, I think that whole album for the Foo Fighters, I think they recorded in a bunch of different studios.
Yeah.
I think I know for sure the U.S., I believe internationally as well too.
Yep. That was the coolest concept for an album. I love that.
Like that one, and I believe their previous one, which is a Wasting Light, which is my favorite by the Foo Fighters because they did it all in Dave Grohl's like house, which I was watching the behind the scenes of that, and it was just and like they just did it on tape too. They did it on analog tape.
Woo!
That's how they record. Yeah.
See, that's so cool when people do like they add like constraints like or like things that like could hold you back from just like having access to everything. Like they add like little like rules and stuff, you know, and that's what like really sparks some crazy creativity. I love that.
Definitely, like you're putting constraints on yourself to make yourself better, if that makes any kind of sense. For
sure.
So yeah, I highly recommend ever check that documentary out about Wasting Light as well, because it was just so cool to see their process of like how how they did everything. And I know they play the guitars and the drums at the same time for they get the bass of the song, and like them, Taylor and Dave trying to do that. They had like so many outtakes of that because like they kept messing up. They're like, well, we got to redo the whole song because it's to tape. So yeah,
that's a much crazier process, a lot less forgiving.
definitely, but yeah, that album won album of the year, and it's completely understanding why why it is a great album.
Of course.
So sorry, went on a Foo Fighters sidebar there, but
I'm always down for that.
I am too. One of my favorite bands. I've never had the chance to see them live, but I just love just their music and just how they produce. Like I'm more interested in how they produce the albums, just because it's always something just crazy, like just in the coolest way of how they were able to do it.
Yes, that's amazing.
Oh, for sure. But I do get a few more questions for you before we wrap up. So, what is like one thing in life that you want to try that you haven't yet?
One thing in life that I want to try but I have not yet. Oh my God, there's like 10 million things.
You can pick a few. It's your interview. You can break the rules if you feel like it.
One thing in life. All right, I'll do one with music. I really want to try writing a song where it has call and response to it. I don't think I have a song like that has that yet. So one of my like favorite bands, like Bad Omens, does that like concrete jungle, like, and it's the coolest dynamic between like fans and the artist. It's like, wow, that's so much energy happening at one time. So I really want to try that. I think that would be really epic. I also want to pick up a sitar sometime in the future. But I don't know when that'll happen because that'll probably be like 50 years of learning to get, to a good sound.
Well, you better get on those 50 years then.
Yeah. And then one thing in life that non-music related, well, kind of non-music. Everything is music related, but two things actually. One, I want to open like a coffee shop music venue kind of thing that serves like all kinds of just weird, strange like foods. I love weird foods and exploring foods. Like when we go on the road, I try to find like local places or just places that have food that I wouldn't normally get back in Ohio and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to open that, and then I want to compete in jiu-jitsu, but like probably just like white belt because I don't want to get my ass whooped too much.
All those are really great answers for for the music stuff and the life stuff as well. And I do hope all that happens because it sounds like really awesome goals and great things to work towards as well.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's exciting.
For sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing to see how the rest of your journey through life and music goes as well.
Thank you.
So as I'm wrapping this up, so 2023, we're already just starting March at the time of this interview. So what is the rest of 2023 looking like for Erin Coburn?
Yeah, lots more shows. Like we are booking like crazy. We got a new booking agent, so we've been just balls to the wall, man. We are playing Canada for the first time this year, which is super exciting. We're playing Vancouver Island, I think. Yeah, so super excited about that. And then just so many shows after that. And then we almost were able to make it over to Europe, like make it happen this year, but we weren't able to book as many shows in a shorter amount of time. So next year, hopefully we will do that. But yeah, this year, lots of shows and a new album and the recording studio being finished. So yeah.
A lot of awesome stuff in the works for you. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more new music. Congrats on getting. Is this your first Canadian date that you've performed at? Nice.
First ever date that we need a passport.
We're right on. Well,
Yes.
I hope you have an awesome time, and hopefully, I know a lot of bands announced like very recently, like European dates and stuff. So hopefully next year you can get in on that too, because that'd be really awesome for you.
Fingers crossed.
Definitely. So, as I'm wrapping this up, what are the best ways to check out and support your music?
Yes. You can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming services under Erin Coburn, ErinCoburn. And then I'm also on all social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, under Erin Coburn Official. And yeah, I go live on Facebook regularly, and I'm actually going to be picking up Twitch streaming again. I do more like production stuff on there, so it's not as exciting as the live performances, but you know, if anyone's interested, I like watching that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Right on. I will drop all those links in the description of this podcast as
Fantastic.
well. Erin, it's so awesome to see you again. I definitely look forward to rocking out with you again, hopefully in the near future as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, for Erin Coburn of Erin Coburn, I'm your host always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.